Hey everyone, this is Darrell Evans of the 1984 World Champion Detroit Tiger. My favorite show to be on is the Sports Circus with Big Sal.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP-TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Angus and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course the king of all those gigantic and massive cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had, probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call, find out what's for dinner. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. All right, a big welcome in everybody listening in on our network affiliates and, of course, everybody on our independents, plus all those watching on television on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, Wow, Charter, and independent cable affiliates in select markets, plus Hotel TV where applicable. Everybody streaming on social media, and, of course, those on the Mars rover. Thanks for joining us today here at the Sports Circus. And right from the top, talking baseball and how about the Rookie of the Year race? You know, about a year ago this time, everybody was talking about Paul Skeens, and Paul Skeens set the world afire in baseball, and he truly still is a generational pitcher, and this is a guy that truly is a guy that could basically pitch in any era. Well, what do we have now? Because remember, Jackson Merrill came out of nowhere, and Jackson Merrill almost stole the Rookie of the Year until it came down, of course, to what? Oh, yeah. To the voting, because it was Paul Skeens in a complete runaway. But Jackson Merrill, any other year, would have probably won the Rookie of the Year in the National League. But now, looking at what's going on this year in the American League, what I like about it is your two top favorites for the Rookie of the Year category are both from the, we'll call the Sacramento A's at this point. And soon to be the Las Vegas A's, but we'll call them the Athletics. In the meantime, we'll just call them the Athletics because they don't identify with a city, although they do play in Sacramento. The reason they play in Sacramento is because they could stay in the Bay Area TV market. They're close enough to the Bay Area where they could still be on television locally there in the Oakland area and still keep their fan base, which a lot of them have actually gone to the games over in Sacramento. And so they're sharing the stadium with the Sacramento River Cats, which happens to be the AAA team for the San Francisco Giants. So I guess everything is kind of kept in the Bay Area anyway, but a pretty interesting setup how they have it. And as we look at what happened during the All-Star break and the All-Star game, you say, well, yeah, another year's All-Star festivities have come and gone. And now a particularly short second half is upon us. I mean, look, they've played just under 100 games. And, of course, Colorado looks to be headed to a new low when it comes to wins, surpassing, or better yet, falling short of the win total of the Chicago White Sox of 2024. But yet they have 96 games played. They still have quite a few more games to go. I think it looks like about 66 games. And so once they hit that 66-game mark, we'll find out if they can win yet another, 21 games or something to that effect. And if they could do that, well, then they won't have the dubious distinction of the worst team in modern baseball history. Anyway, so we go back to the Rookie of the Year thing. So basically, the race is on. But of course, before the regular season resumes, right? In fact, in most markets, it's going to be tomorrow when you hear this. And we may, as well take a little bit of look at that Rookie of the Year race like I had mentioned. Of course, in order to get a better idea, MLB.com asked 28 experts to vote for their top favorite rookie in each league, with rookies receiving votes on a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 scale. 5 points for first place, 4 for second place, and so on and so forth. Just to get a better idea, and voters were asked to consider what each player has done so far and what they expect to see through the end of the season. And these are the results according to MajorLeagueBaseball.com. Your runaway American League Rookie of the Year is a really, really good hitting shortstop in Jacob Wilson. Now, Jacob Wilson got 23 first place votes. I mean, literally running away with it. And this guy is just a hitting machine. He's hitting .332 second in Major League Baseball and leading all rookies with a F-WAR of 2.9. He's a little bit weak in the fielding position. Now, we've seen that with other great shortstops out there. I mean, look at Ellie De La Cruz. Ellie does everything. He's a 5-tool player, but for whatever reason, he just hasn't put that much time, seemingly, into playing the shortstop position. But Ellie does everything. He's really a 5-tool player, end of day. But you look at Jacob Wilson and say, all right, so he's a little soft in the defensive skills, and he'll get better over time. But look, this guy is really, really good with the old bat-to-ball skills, and it makes him really a fan-elected rookie shortstop to start the All-Star game. Now, that's pretty damn good, considering who else is in the league. And look, you got to realize that this guy entering the second half, he has only 28 strikeouts in 87 games played. Man, this kid can hit. He hits for power. He hits for average. If you don't have any of his rookie cards, if I'm not mistaken, they're 2023 baseball cards. I just happen to have a few of those myself. And listen, I'm happy as all get out because I think he's the guy right now that is going to run away with it in the American League. However, first of all, we want to give him a nice round of applause. Now, we do that because this guy really is that good. But here's sort of a conundrum for the Oakland A's. The second place, I keep saying Oakland A's. They're not the Oakland A's. They're the Sacramento A's, but they're not. They're maybe the Vegas A's, but who the hell knows? They're just the Athletics. But it's the A's with the number 2 ranked Rookie of the Year candidate in Nick Kurtz. Now, I don't know if you've had a chance to see this guy, but man, he hits them when they count. Now, Kurtz appeared on a few ballots in the last poll, but the heat is on, and he's really changed the voters' outlook. And he's really settled in, essentially from about a month ago through the break, a span of about 26 games. This guy's got 12 homers and a 1122 OPS. It's just completely off the charts. And of course, on a year that gives him 17 homers, 44 RBIs, a 558 slugging percentage, and a 143 OPS plus. He's still doing a lot of swinging and missing, but this guy barrels it up when it counts. And so you have to ask yourself, is he at the same rate, the same caliber as a guy by the name of Aaron Judge? Well, I don't know. I mean, look at it this way. This guy is doing a lot of the same things as Aaron Judge, and he's only played a handful of games, let's just say. I mean, look, if Wilson and Kurtz were to finish 1 and 2 in the Rookie of the Year voting in either order, because this seems like an evolving situation, they'd be the 9th set of teammates to do so and the first American League duo since the 1984 Seattle Mariners with Alvin Davis and Mark Langston, a great lefty. Boy, that is one hell of a duo right there. So, look, the Athletics are playing pretty good ball. They could be playing a little bit better ball, but this team is absolutely slammed with great young talent. And, I mean, let's face it, even All-Star Game superstar at this point, and he did very, very well in the Home Run Derby, and that's Rooker from where? That's right, from the Athletics, another star from there. And there's a few others in there as well that we'll get to in a little bit. But those Athletics have done it right. They've built it right. When they come to Las Vegas in 2028, I think they're going to really be ready to contend because they would have shored up the weaknesses from pitching that they had, and their pitching is very mediocre, a little bit suspect right now, but they've got some defense, they've got some base stealing, they've got some arms in the outfield, and these guys can hit for average and hit for power. And man, they sure hit them when they count. This is not a commercial for the Sacramento A's. This is fact. If you haven't seen their games, I watch almost every one of their games, and I must tell you, it is getting to the point where it's must-see TV. They're pulling games out in the last inning or two of just about, well, they're actually competing. Let's just say they're not pulling them out all the time, but they're competing. They're playing very competitive baseball, and it's fun baseball. It's exciting baseball. And that reminds me of watching the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers are fun baseball. It's like they're never out of the damn game. Those guys are always competing. And I can say that even about I'll just call them the Cubs. The Cubs are in every game, it seems. They can find a way to hit their way back into the game. And that's what the Athletics remind me of, a team that just doesn't quit. It doesn't matter what the record is. It doesn't matter what the score is. It just matters that you've got a bunch of guys that actually believe in what they're doing, and you can see it when they're on the field. I mean, it seems like they really do like each other. In many cases, baseball players, I'll tell you, as a former player, I can tell you, a lot of guys, they don't like each other, but there is some good chemistry there, and watch out what they're doing with the Athletics, because those guys are going to be good. And by the way, we're going to get to the rest of this Rookie of the Year voting so far in the next segment. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come here on The Circus.
You'll get your chance, smart guy. Speak when you're told to speak and not before.
I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, primetime nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
If you'd like to borrow up to $100,000 and get pre-approved in minutes, call the number we'll give you at the end of this commercial. Our lending partners have already loaned millions of dollars to individuals just like you, and we're ready to lend you up to $100,000 if you qualify. Even if your credit is not perfect, you could use the money to pay off high-interest credit cards, for home renovations, or consolidate existing debt. You can get flexible, easy-to-pay terms. The consultation to find out if you qualify is free. To find out if you qualify for our special financing program, call this toll-free number 24 hours a day. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. That's 800-335-1376. Important terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Loan amount, annual percentage rate, and term will vary depending on creditworthiness. Applying does not guarantee approval. Account approval is subject to verification and confirmation of your credit history and acceptance by a lender. If you choose to apply for a loan through us, a consumer report will be obtained to evaluate your creditworthiness in connection with your application for credit.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door. store without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at uppercutchops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at uppercutchops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Thank you, Roy, and welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP-TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. Check them out, folks. All right, welcome back to everybody listening in on all of our affiliates, including our friends over in Atlanta, WDJY 99.1 FM. Thanks for waking up with us. Over in Auburn, Alabama, thanks for driving home with us on WAUD, home of the Atlanta Braves. Up and down the Midwest, all the way out to the West Coast, everybody driving up and down Interstate 15 between Las Vegas and California. Thanks for joining us there on 101.5 and 107.3 FM. Up to Alaska, all the way over to Honolulu, CBS Sports 1500 KHKA, home of the Yankees, 49ers, Alabama Crimson Tide. Thanks for joining us there. Also on all of our cable providers and everybody streaming on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, iHeart, YouTube, Stitcher, Deezer, and all of those, plus a whole lot more. And everybody's streaming, of course, even on Facebook on Chicago Food Favorites. Folks, make sure you check out Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook, a fun group about food, restaurants, recipes. Make some friends, have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. All right, and by the way, folks, in case you're just tuning in for the first time, our friends over at Vacation Buddies want to give you a couple of nights right here in Las Vegas or in Orlando, Florida, or Branson, Missouri, if you can answer a very simple trivia question. And here it is. Which of these NBA superstars has won 6 NBA titles? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Shaquille O'Neal, C, Kobe Bryant, or D, Michael Jordan? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. And that's for Vacation Buddies. They're not affiliated with this station, but they want to give you a couple of nights in Las Vegas or Orlando, Florida, or Branson, Missouri. If you know the answer to that simple question, give them a call again, 888-576-5777. Let's round of applause for them. All right, back to our projected Rookie of the Year voting. Now, this was through MajorLeagueBaseball.com's 28 voters that they had selected. Now, just to give you a quick little rundown again of that. So what they did is they asked 28 experts to vote for their top 5 rookies in each league with a 5-4-3-2-1 scale, 5 for basically for first, 4 for second, 3 for third, etc., and so forth. So it was Jacob Wilson in a runaway from the Athletics at 23 first-place votes. Nick Kurtz, his teammate, with 3 first-place votes, who was certainly worthy. And then it was Cam Smith from the Houston Astros that did pick up 1 first-place vote. And the main piece of the return for the Kyle Tucker deal, in a brand new addition to that top 5, of course, in this voting, Smith has been pretty steady while operating mostly in the background through the end of his first half. He's sitting pretty good, slashing 277, 347, 418 with a 113 OPS plus with 7 homers. And he's also making good use of his speed in the outfield, tied for 10th among qualifying outfielders with 8. That's right, 8 assists. That's pretty damn good. But again, that is a far, far cry from guys like Kurtz and, more importantly, from Jacob Wilson. I think Jacob Wilson's the guy. But anyway, we're going to run down this, just a couple of more of these. Now, Carlos Narvaez is a very, very good player for the Boston Red Sox. This is a very low-key transaction that brought this longtime Yankee farmhand to Boston. And at this point, he's become truly indispensable for the Red Sox. An excellent all-around defender, Narvaez. A lot of catchers are good, but this guy from the Yankee system is really good. I mean, he's one of those guys. Hell, I've got him on my fantasy baseball team. He's just one of those guys. When you watch him, like, you know what? He's good for a lot of reasons. Great backstop, great arm. He knows how to protect the plate. He knows how to set up a nice target for the pitcher, which a lot of catchers don't do that. And his form, basically the way he sits behind home plate, is proper. Look, this guy's got a real gift in frame pitching and, well, pitch framing, I should say. It just depends on who's talking here. But nonetheless, this guy really knows how to frame it up. But he's also tied with Patrick Bailey for the most CS above. So basically, this guy is catching stealers, base stealers. He's caught 7 so far. And in fact, he is above average. So he's currently hitting .273, 8 homers, and an above average 118 OPS. This guy's a lot better than the numbers show. He'll be given some real consideration, but again, so far it looks like Wilson. And Roman Anthony, his teammate, he came up with all the hype from the Boston Red Sox, and he's playing okay. He's not doing that great. He had all the hype. Anthony was one of those guys that really had all the hype, and people, when he first burst onto the scene, we'll call it back in May, when he got his first big league at bat, all the craze was check out Roman Anthony. I think he even hit a home run early in one of his early at bats, whatever. This guy's hitting the ball pretty hard, and I don't know, a 371 on base percentage. That's the third highest among rookies, and OPS of 117. But ultimately, he doesn't do what the other guys do, and that's why he doesn't have first place votes. Now, over the National League, there is a guy that is a pitcher. And just like we had Paul Skeens from the Pittsburgh Pirates last year, this year it's from the Milwaukee Brewers, Jacob Misiorowski. And he even played in the All-Star game. That's right. He didn't start because Paul Skeens started, who absolutely deserves to start. But Jacob Misiorowski is turning into must-see TV. And he's another guy that you probably want to have at least one of his rookie baseball cards, which I believe are 2023s, just like Jacob Wilson's. But based on his first career start, Misiorowski got one first place vote a month ago. That's right. Now at 5 and coming off an all-star selection, he shot all the way to the top of the National League. And it's early, yes, of course, but after seeing what Paul Skeens did last year, the voters were probably even more inclined to quickly buy into what Misiorowski is doing. And if you subtract his one clunker, yeah, everybody has him. A 5-run, 3 2/3 inning outing dating against the Mets. And, of course, that was probably about 2 weeks ago. He's otherwise gone 4-0 with a sparkling 1.23 ERA and a .68 whip. That's walks and hits per innings pitched. And this guy struck out 31 out of 79 batters that he's faced. Basically a strikeout rate of 39.2%. And a very tiny sample it is, but his arm is electric. My concern, when I see guys like him, I say, all right, are they overthrowing? Are they doing things that they shouldn't be doing? And I'm talking about maybe throwing too many sliders, because sliders are really what gives the old ulnar nerve problem. That's the Tommy John thing, right? So there's a bigger issue with throwing sliders and throwing certain pitches. Split-fingered fastball, that it brings much the same issue. So the sliders are scary for the pitchers. The splitties are scary for the pitcher. So the pitchers have gone to a lot of these sweepers, which are really just curveballs. They're essentially a 3/4 arm delivery curveball. That's all it is. And when we were kids, we were told to throw over the top, directly over the top, 12-6, because it's better for your arm and you use more body. And if you're throwing 3/4, you're technically throwing across your body, which hurts your shoulder and hurts your elbow. So a lot of you people may or may not know that, but that's fact. So Jacob Misiorowski has a really good delivery. And his delivery is pretty much over the top. And I like what this kid's doing. Again, he is must-see TV, as Paul Skeens is must-see TV. This guy is just a little bit younger, of course, but he really has a lot going for him. He got 19 first-place votes, and if it stays this way, he's going to end up winning the Rookie of the Year in the National League. Now, one guy that's going to have something to say about this is going to be Drake Baldwin from the Atlanta Braves. And, of course, while the majority of voters are convinced that Misiorowski is probably going to be the guy, Baldwin, who led the last couple of polls is a little bit of he is a known commodity at this point. And this was close with Mizrachi at 122 overall and Baldwin at 111 recently, but Baldwin's bat speed continues to impress while his work behind the plate has remained perfectly serviceable. So he's not making a bunch of mistakes behind the plate. Great news. He has slowed down at the plate a little bit, hitting only 200, 11 for 55 with a 741 OPS. But the good news is that he's already 8 for 29 in July, so the bounce back is already in progress. So is Baldwin going to be the guy? I don't know. But he did get 9 first place votes. How about Augustin Ramirez? How about those Miami Marlins that people think are just in complete disarray? And I think really the Marlins probably should get rid of, what was his name? The general manager. You know his name. That's right. Peter Bendix. That's his name. In case you forgot his name, I was letting the suspense kill you, of course, because he should be fired. Absolutely. He should be canned because they've given away a lot of really good talent, guys that can really play. And it just seems like Peter Bendix has made, in my opinion, mistake after mistake after mistake, and he's ran the Marlins into the ground in the same way that, again, in my opinion, that the general manager for the White Sox, Chris Getz, has done exactly the same thing. I mean, two guys that are not very experienced. They make bad mistakes, in my opinion. They don't make good deals for the teams. It just seems like they're trying to win a popularity contest. Oh, we'll make a deal with them down the line at some point. Well, guess what? I think Augustin Ramirez certainly deserves a look. He was the main piece in return for Jazz Chisholm Jr. So also a catcher out of the Yankee system. We already talked about that. And listen, this guy Ramirez is legit. Yeah, he's hitting 242. He's got 20 doubles and 14 homers, but he's a lot better when you watch him than necessarily on paper. Back here in a few minutes on The Circus. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come.
Stop it!
I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Hello, Americans. It's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time, that's 800-950-2049.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the MTV studio, AAMP Television. Welcome back to everybody listening in on radio, TV, streaming. You know who you are. And in the last segment, right at the beginning, we mentioned vacation buddies, and we mentioned a couple of nights in Las Vegas, and a couple of nights in Orlando, and a couple of nights in Branson, Missouri. You take your pick. If you can answer a simple trivia question, which NBA superstar out of these won 6 NBA titles? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Shaquille O'Neal, C, Kobe Bryant, or D, Michael Jordan? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777. Hit up Vacation Buddies at 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Although they're not affiliated with this radio station, they do want to give you a couple of nights in Las Vegas, Orlando, or Branson, Missouri. If you can answer that simple trivia question, give them a call, 888-576-5777. Call them now. All right. Now, I'm going to continue on with this Rookie of the Year discussion. Now, this was by Major League Baseball. They picked up about 28 voters, 28 experts, and they picked up some votes for American League, National League. The American League, it seemed to be a runaway with Jacob Wilson, shortstop from the Athletics. And so far, as we see it from the National League, according to the votes, Jacob Misiorowski has really set himself apart from Drake Baldwin of the Braves. So it looks like the Brewers against the Braves, and the Brewers right now have 19 first-place votes with Jacob Misiorowski, and Drake Baldwin has 9. And that's just this week. Of course, it changes. Augustine Ramirez is going to have a little bit to say about this. A very good backstop. Of course, he was, again, the main piece in that Jazz Chisholm Jr. deal to the Yankees. And, of course, here's another good catcher out of the Yankees system. So you can never discount those. In fourth place was Ha-Seong Kim of the Dodgers. And Kim dropped a couple of spots from the previous poll. But, of course, that can be largely attributed to the increasing quality of his competition. And, of course, he's sticking well to his strengths, adding a ton of value via his base running ability, maintaining a very nice .339 batting average, although he's only had 9 total extra base hits compared to 11 stolen bases. And he's been versatile, playing 28 games at second, 16 in center, and 8 at short. Something to watch with Kike Hernandez recently hitting the injured list with the elbow situation. Well, guess what? He's less of a role player being Ha-Seong Kim. And so he's only played 6 complete games in June, but had 7 throughout the Dodgers' first 12 games in July. So this guy's going to get a lot of regular playing time. Where he's going to hit in the lineup, it doesn't matter because he's good enough. And I do want to mention Chad Patrick, another player from the Brewers. And Patrick's keeping a very low profile and probably will continue basically because of Misiorowski is on the scene. But there's much less flash with Patrick, but he's getting the job done. And he came into the break with a 3.52 ERA, a 1.3 whip for walks and hits in innings pitches. And, of course, 95 strikeouts and 94 2/3 innings. A bit of a walk problem, though, but really nothing that he can't really manage. But this guy, again, I've had him on and off my fantasy baseball team, and Chad Patrick is one hell of a pitcher. Of course, Misiorowski is a very, very exciting pitcher. He's a strikeout pitcher, where Chad Patrick, in my opinion, has learned to be a more mature pitcher. And I say that because at some point, a pitcher, and I know I faced this myself. I used to strike the world out, try to strike the world out. The problem is you got to have confidence in the 7 guys behind you as a pitcher, right? All your infielders and your outfielders. But if you don't have confidence, you try to strike everybody out. Then you take it personal if they make contact. I believe that Chad Patrick has learned how to pitch, meaning he'll pitch to contact. And so, yeah, sure, some guys are going to get hit. Some guys are going to they're going to end up on base a little bit more. He's still striking out more than innings pitched, but I believe he has turned into a very mature pitcher at a very young age. There's a big difference in knowing how to pitch versus knowing how to throw. And so when you say, well, geez, Mizorowski is striking out 39.2% of the batters he faces, well, it doesn't really matter. Now, does it? Because an out is an out is an out, period. And so watch for Chad Patrick because this kid is going to be good for a long time. And sure, as it stands, maybe you've got Mizorowski as your NL Rookie of the Year and Jacob Wilson as your American League Rookie of the Year, which I think Wilson's going to win it. But in the National League, hey, listen, that's still up for grabs. Anything could happen out of those 5 players. Even Ha-Seong Kim could find himself in the winner's circle. You never know. If you string a couple of bad outings together for Jacob Mizorowski, well, his attractiveness is going to drop down. They're going to say, well, we thought he was like Paul Skeens, but he's not like Paul Skeens. No, he's good, but we don't know how good he is just yet. So I guess we're just going to have to wait and find out. Now, how about this? I was watching the Home Run Derby, of course, like everybody else. That was, I guess if you're listening to this, you're watching the Home Run Derby. You watch the Home Run Derby. And, I mean, look, it was a good Home Run Derby. It's kind of played out a little bit as far as, well, we sort of know what we're going to get. And they're trying new wrinkles with it being Major League Baseball. Of course, the most important thing that we see with the Home Run Derby is what? Well, it's the ball leaving the yard, first of all. And so what has Rob Manfred and Major League Baseball done? In my opinion, the ball is severely juiced up. It just seems like they're hitting a golf ball because it's going further and further and further. Now, to take nothing away from the titanic shots that O'Neal Cruz had, because, man, he just hit laser beams, and he was really the big star of the show, never mind the fact that Kyle Raleigh won the Home Run Derby. But boy, it was fun watching O'Neal Cruz just tattoo the ball left, right, and center. It just exploding. It seemed like the balls were right off his bat. This guy is just killing the ball. And it doesn't matter if it's a juice ball or not. I was watching this kid in, I guess it was a game about a month, maybe a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago. And he had, I don't buy into these analytics and, well, the exit velocity and the launch angle and all that other crap. I don't care about that stuff. But I watched this guy hit a ball harder than I think I've ever seen anybody hit a ball. And that goes back to the 1990s. I remember watching Jose Canseco hit a ball off the label of the bat when he was playing for Toronto. He hit a ball off the label, not even the sweet spot. And he hit it literally into the third deck. And the reason he could do stuff like that was because his bat speed was the fastest, as I understood it, in the history of Major League Baseball through the strike zone, through the hitting zone. And so Canseco just had this magical lift off the ball. And he hit, seemingly, whenever he homered, it was just a titanic shot. And so you might have seen that sometimes with Mark McGwire, too. And so watching O'Neal Cruz hit, he was hitting in the same light. And it just seemed like the ball was just shot out of a cannon off of this guy's bat. And I don't recall seeing anybody in Major League Baseball today that hits them like that. I mean, yeah, you've guys that really hit bombs, but not like that. That is a very, 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 very fast bat. And so, yeah, Cal Raleigh did win the 2025 Home Run Derby. What a great story, too, with his dad pitching and his little brother as the catcher. And they call him the Big Dumper. I just think that's an awful name. But nonetheless, after putting together a record-setting first half, according to USA Today, Cal Raleigh won Major League Baseball's 2025 Home Run Derby at Truist Park, earning himself the title of baseball's top slugger. And, of course, the Seattle Mariners slugger, who hit 38 home runs before the All-Star break, the second most in Major League Baseball history, dispatched the Tampa Bay Rays' 22-year-old Junior Cabanero. And Junior, he hit really, really well and is the first catcher to win the Home Run Derby. That's pretty cool. Now, of course, with his dad pitching and his younger brother catching, Raleigh became the second Mariner to be crowned Derby champion, of course, behind who? Ken Griffey Jr. He won it 3 times. And he said, quote, "You don't think you're going to win it. You don't think you're even going to be invited. Then you get invited, and the fact that you win it with your family is super special. What a night." And I saw a really cool video when Cal Raleigh was just a little kid. He's probably, I'm going to guess, about 9 years old in the video. And he was saying in the video that, "I'm going to be the home run champion. I'm going to win the home run derby," over and over and over. He was doing some crazy dance, whatever. And it was fun watching. I watched it a few times because I can imagine myself doing the same thing, but in pitching greatness. I threw a no-hitter, all that stuff. But I watched the video, and it was cool because I had flashbacks to when I was a kid, and it was about dreaming big, living the moment, eat, sleep, and think baseball. That's what you do when you're a kid, and that's what you do when you're a professional. You eat, sleep, and think it. And watching Cal Raleigh as a kid, it just gave me a really good feeling of remembering what it was like to be a kid playing Little League. And it was so cool seeing a kid saying that, 20 years before he actually did it, and then watching him do it with his dad pitching. What a great moment that was. And I have to tell you, that deserves an astounding round of applause to close out this segment. Now, good for Cal Raleigh, and it's a really good moment for Major League Baseball. All right, back here in a few minutes. Going to talk a little bit more baseball just because we can. Don't go anywhere, lots more to come.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this commercial right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at
714-948-0100. That's 714-948-0100.
Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Folks, make sure to check out thesportscircus.com for upcoming guests, our prior guests, recorded shows, which can be found on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, iHeart, Stitcher, Deezer, plus many others. Also, check out the partners page. Lots of great partners over there. One of those, one of our favorites, Al's No. 1 Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. That's Al's No. 1 Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. The creators of the famous Italian beef sandwich, 117 years ago, was created by family members. They've been in business since 1938, serving up great food. And if you can't get over there in Little Italy over in Chicago, just check them out at alsbeef.com. That's alsbeef.com. You can read the story, pick up some food, and tell them the circus sent you. All right, welcome back to everybody on radio and TV. You know who you are. And back with Major League Baseball. This time it is the All-Star Game. And look, the All-Star Game, pretty good stuff if you're into watching those baseball games that really don't have any meaning anymore. And they just want to showcase the talent. It's basically for the kids and whatnot. But what interested me was the end of the game, like most people, because they didn't play extra innings. They went into a tie at 6-6. And so after 9 innings, they actually had an unprecedented derby-like swing-off. And what I found interesting is it's almost like having a shootout in hockey to determine the winner of the game. But what I found interesting was the selection of players by the manager. So it was Dave Roberts, of course, having guys like Pete Alonso and Kyle Schwarber and Kyle Stowers, if I'm not mistaken, guys that could really hammer the ball. And over on the American League side, well, let's face it, it was Aaron Boone picking a few guys that, well, weren't really the guys that you would expect to be competing in the home run derby version for, I guess, the All-Star game. And Brent Rooker, a very good player for the Athletics, and one of those young kids. But they had Randy Arozarena, which was a shocker. And Randy's been hitting the ball, but he's not that prolific home run hitter. And you think of Aranda, again, for the Tampa Bay Rays. And I'm not so sure that the fix wasn't in that selection. Because, come on, you've got 3 bombers for the National League. Of course, it's a National League park. And then you have 3 mediocre hitters in the grand scheme of things for home runs for the American League. Brent Rooker, yeah, the guy hits home runs. He's been trending. But Arozarena and Aranda, come on, man. It just seemed like the fix was in that. And I don't know about you, but I watched this and I was like, come on. I know the American League's got way better than that they could bring to the table. And you can't say, well, it was about the young kids, because Arozarena's been around for a minute, and so is Aranda. And so in the National League, you had one young kid in Kyle Stowers, he's young, but he's not super young. And he came over, you may recall or may not, from the Baltimore Orioles over to the Marlins. Kyle is a guy that can hit Titanic home runs along with Schwarber. Man, Schwarber hits them. And Alonso didn't even have a chance to hit, didn't even need to hit. But the point was the deck was stacked clearly in the favor of the National League. I think maybe a little bit of... Show me the money! Could have been I guess the motivating factor. I don't know. But it was very obvious as I watched it, and I know other people saw this too. They're like, wait a minute, what the hell's going on here? Why is it that the National League is so stacked and the American League is bringing these kids in here? Who knows? I don't know. I just think it was all about a big payoff because ultimately it seems like a lot of these sports, a lot of these games are remarkably predictable. Especially, I tell you what, as soon as I saw the lineup, if I was at the sports book, I would have ran over to bet the National League wins this home run derby. Of course, they had to be a pretty big favorite. I would guess at least a 3-1 favorite, but it would be worth putting up $3 to win a buck, I suppose. Anyway, so all that said, let's look forward at baseball standings at the All-Star break as they get ready to go into the second half. Over in the American League, a little bit of a shocker for some, but it is the Toronto Blue Jays in the American League East up by a couple of games on the Yankees and only 3 games on the Red Sox and only 5.5 on the Rays. Somehow the Orioles are in the cellar and they're actually 9 games under 500, but they're not eliminated. And we look back at the last 10 games, the Red Sox are 10-0 in the last 10 games. I mean, they went into the break absolutely on fire. The Blue Jays playing solid ball, 7-3 in their last 10. The Yankees an abysmal 5-5, and the Rays, wow, even worse. They went from disaster to debacle at 2-8. But we look at these differentials, you say, well, Toronto is winning the close games. Their differential is only 17, whereas the Yankees, it's 111. And the Red Sox and the Rays are plus 61. Meanwhile, the Orioles are a minus 90. Over the American League Central, it's the American League's best team in the Detroit Tigers running away with it at the break at 11.5 up on the Minnesota Twins. 12 over the Royals, who are somehow 3 games under 500. I don't understand what the hell's going on here. And even the Twinkies, the Twinkies are 2 games under 500. And both of these two teams are playing poorly. Their differentials are below 0. So they've given up more runs, of course, than they've scored, whereas the Tigers are a plus 87. It's a pretty big number, only behind the New York Yankees in total run differential. Now, the Cleveland Guardians sit 3 games under 500 as well, and they're also 12 back of the Tigers. Another team that's a real head-scratcher. I don't understand it. Now, the Tigers are going to Texas. They're going to start out in Texas. They're going to have their hands full with a trending Texas Rangers team, whereas the Twinkies are going to get well going to Colorado, and the Royals have a real good shot to get well in Miami. And the Guard is hosting those pesky Athletics. And meanwhile, back at the ranch, the White Sox are, well, let's put it this way. It looks like they're about 23 under, and they are better than last year, that's for sure. They've almost passed last year's win, but their still winning percentage is only .330, which last year was only an abysmal .253. But the White Sox are playing about 500 ball in their last month or so. They're playing a hell of a lot better these days. Over in the National League, it is, well, wait a minute. Let's not get there yet. Let's talk about the American League West. I really didn't think we had to, but we actually have to because a couple of these teams are playing well. The Houston Astros, just the cream rise at the top. They're rebuilding on the fly. They're 16 over. They're 5 ahead of the Seattle Mariners. And even though they're 4-6 in their last 10, they're still playing solid ball. Overall, it is the Astros that are above 500, just like Seattle, a couple of games above 500 on the road, whereas everybody else in that division is not. So these guys can play on the road. They can play at home. And they're a solid club. Now, Seattle, with their lack of hitting, they just, outside of Cal Raleigh, they don't seem to hit the ball very well. And we'll just say, well, let's throw a Rosarena in there too. They're going to be buyers of bats at the deadline this year. And they were last year, and I think they ended up with a Rosarena, but he didn't really amount to anything. And they had a couple of other broken Coke machines and bag of baseballs. They didn't really do too much. So it seems like Seattle's going to have to make a real big splash in the offensive department, and you have to ask who are the trading partners. We'll get to that in a little bit. Now, again, it's the Rangers at 1 under, and they're 8.5 back. there is enough time for them to catch up. And even the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim of Orange County, the Orange Curtain on the Santa Ana Riverbed of Interstate 5, the longest name in baseball, the Angels are 9 back, but they've played pretty good ball of late, but they got to open up after the All-Star break at Philadelphia. Boy, they're going to have their hands full. As we said, the Rangers are going to be hosting Detroit. It is Seattle is going to square off at home against Houston. So they got a chance to narrow the gap with a series sweep there. Now, over in the National League, it's the Phillies showing the way only by a half a game over the Metropolitans. And both of those teams, it just seems like neither team really wants to win. I can't really figure that one out. The Marlins sit 10.5 back, 7 under 500. The Atlanta Braves somehow are 11 games under 500 with all that talent, and they open up hosting the Yankees. Boy, it doesn't get easy for them. And the Nats are 20 games under and out of it. The Cubs are only a game in the National League Central, only a game over the Milwaukee Brewers. Yeah, it is the Brewers. They're coming in on a 7-game win streak, and they're traveling out to Chavez Ravine playing the Dodgers, whereas the Cubs are going to be hosting the pesky Boston Red Sox, who bring a 10-game win streak into Wrigley Field. Boy, that's going to be a good one. The Cardinals are 5 games over 500. They travel to Arizona to play the Answerbacks. And Arizona, doesn't matter what their record is, they're a few games under 500. But boy, that is a very tough squad to play against. And the Reds, who sit 3 games over 500, 7.5 back, they're traveling to Flushing, New York to play the New York Metropolitans. And of course, the last place Pirates, well, 19 under, they play the White Sox. They're hosting the White Sox. Now, over the National League West real quick, it's the Dodgers 5.5 over the Padres. The Dodgers have been playing really bad ball lately. They're only 3 over on the road, but they're 16 over at home, whereas the Padres are 5 under on the road, and the Padres are 13 over at home. But it's the Dodgers that are opening up at home against the Brewers. That's going to be a very tough draw for the Dodgers. And the Padres travel to Washington to play a very annoying and pesky team with Mr. Wood, who hits giant home runs, and C.J. Abrams, who just seems to either score runs, steal bases, or, boy, he does all kinds of great things over there. It's the Giants in third place, 6 games back, half a game behind the Padres, and they are traveling to Toronto to play a streaking first place American League East team. The Diamondbacks hosting the St. Louis Cardinals, 3 games under 500, and the Rockies, an abysmal Rocky team who is essentially 52 under 500, a win percentage of .229, and they are hosting Minnesota, who desperately needs wins. And so real quick, taking a look at that wild card before the end of the show here, the wild card looks like this. In the American League, it is the Yankees, Red Sox, and Mariners that hold the top 3 slots, with the Rays being a game and a half out of the last spot. Over the National League, it's the Brewers, who are 4 games up for a spot, the Mets, who are 2.5 up, and the Padres are only a half a game ahead of the Giants for the last wild card spot. So the bigger question is what happens when it comes to the trade deadline. Look, we don't have time for that. Maybe tomorrow we'll talk about that here on the Circus. Hopefully you had a good time with us. It's a really nice story, of course, again, about Jacob Wilson, who likely will win the American League Rookie of the Year, and Cal Raleigh with his dad pitching in the home run derby and his brother catching. Boy, that was really good stuff. And folks, we're going to see you in about 23 hours right here on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone.
If I was your mother and you had a drug problem, I'd grab you by the ear and make you call and get help. You can be in treatment tomorrow and start to get clean in 7 days. Follow Mom's advice and call the Detox and Treatment Helpline now. Write this number down.
800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. That's 800-814-8628.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.